Sampling in qualitative research. First of all, let's identify the basic differences between quantitative and qualitative research methods. Qualitative research differs from quantitative as its focus on exploring ideas and formulating a theory or hypothesis, analyzed by summarizing, categorizing, and interpreting. Also, it mainly expressed in words. It requires few respondents. It consists of open-ended questions. Also, it should be noted that yeah, the relationship between the researcher and the participants is often less formal than in quantitative research. Participants have the opportunity to respond more, let's say, elaborately and in greater details than in typically in the case with quantitative methods. So, moving to the sampling in qualitative research, even if it were possible, it's not necessary to collect data from everyone in the community in order to get valid findings. In qualitative research, only a sample of a population is selected for any given study. The study's research objectives and the characteristics of the study population determine which and how many people to select. In this section, we briefly describe three of the most common sampling methods used in qualitative research. It's first of all purposive sampling, then quota sampling, and snowball sampling. So, what is the purposive sampling? Purposive sampling, also known as judgment, selective, or subjective sampling, is a sampling technique in which researcher relies on his or her own judgment when choosing members of population to participate in the study. The purpose of sampling is non-probability sampling methods, and it occurs when elements selected for the sample are chosen by the judgment of the researcher. Researchers often believe that they can obtain a representative sample by using a sound judgment, which will result in saving time and money. So let's move to the example. So suppose your thesis topic has been approved as the following: a study into uh, study into the impact of tax scandal on the brand image of Starbucks coffee in the UK. So if you decide to apply a questionnaire, primary data collection methods with use of purposive sampling, you can go out to Oxford Street and stop what seems like a reasonable cross-section of people in the street to survey. Another example, your research objective is to determine the patterns of use of social media uh, by global IT consulting companies based in the US. Rather than applying random sampling and choosing subjects who may not be available, you can use purposive sampling to choose IT companies whose availability and attitude are compatible with the study. So, what is the quota sampling? Quota sampling is a method where the researcher selects a sample group to represent some specific characteristics of the population. The researcher choose the sample group to represent the entire population so that they can get to desired result. For example, a researcher wants to find out the smartphones that most individuals prefer to buy and use. So this researcher wants to survey 10 countries in Africa, and to carry out of this research, the researcher considers a sample size of, let's say, 5,000 participants. So now we are going to look at how the researcher can segregate the population by quotas. So he can divide into quotas using gender. For example, divide into an equal group of 2,500 females and the same amount of males. And also, researcher can further divide using the age of participants, also add socioeconomic status, such as employment, to further divide the participants, and also the location of participants. So, what is the snowball sampling? This is the sampling technique in which existing subjects provide referrals to recruit samples required for a research study. So for example, if you are studying the level of customer satisfaction among the members of an elite country club, you will find it extremely difficult to collect primary data sources unless a member of the club agrees to have a direct conversation with you and provides the contact details of the other members of the club. So this sampling method involves a primary data source nominating other potential data sources that will be able to participate in the research studies. Snowball sampling methods is purely based on referrals, and that is how a researcher is able to generate a sample. Therefore, this method is also called the chain referral sampling method. It's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.